Okay.
Yeah, TRC.
Yeah.
I'll set you
At
up.
this time, I'm going to call to order the Pollyant Trailway Management Council meeting for June 21st, 2023. And we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag and have an invocation afterwards led by Vice Chair Brakefield.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, thank you for allowing us to have this council meeting here in the township of Oxford. Thank you very much for giving us the wisdom to make decisions wisely. I thank you for giving us this beautiful weather and allowing the hay farmers to bring in our crops and to feed your animals throughout the winter. Thank you for the board, the trail manager, volunteers, and trail users. In the Lord's name, amen.
All right, thank you.
I had to put my hay farmers in.
I know, it was hopeful.
Okay, item 3 on our agenda is roll call. Secretary McDonald, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Brakefield,
Here.
Mr. Pearson,
Here.
Mr. Piper. Here. Mr. Wiley,
Here.
Mr. Wright,
Here.
Mr. Nold,
Here.
Mr. McDonald, here. Ms. Count. We also have Linda Moran and Kevin Green.
Okay.
Kevin?
All right, we do have a quorum, and the village is not represented from Oxford. Okay, first on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Any corrections, additions, deletions to the agenda? If not, we'll have a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
Any second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, motion by Vice Chair Brakefield, second by Councilor Knoll to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, do we need to call out the amount of the bills?
We'll get that in the next agenda item.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. All in favor of the agenda approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, we're on to the consent agenda for the approval of the May 17, 2023 minutes, approval of the bills, the receive and file of financial reports, and the trail manager report. Any questions on the bills or the minutes or the manager report?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion
Yes.
that we approve the May 17, 2020 meeting minutes. We approve the treasury reports consisting of $3,707.68 for May 2023. Receive and file the financial reports for May 2023 and receive and file the manager report for June 2023.
Support.
Okay, motion by Councilor Knoll, second by Councilor Pfeiffer to approve the consent agenda. Any further questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, Secretary McDonald, can you please call the roll?
For approval of the consent agenda, Mr. Nold,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Watley,
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer,
Yes.
Mr. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Brakefield,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald, yes. Motion carried.
Okay, good. Public comment, any public comment? No public wishes to comment. We're moving on to citizen report. Kevin, any report to give to the council?
No report.
No report there. Moving on, new unfinished business. Website committee update. We've been working on this for about 6 months. Linda, you're probably the most up to date on it. I don't know if Councilor Knoll or Secretary McDonald or Councilor Watley has anything to offer, but I'll lead it off with you.
I left a message for Kyle Shoemaker to give us a call back to see what the status was, and basically I haven't heard anything back. So we were with James. He set up the preliminary, and then he sent us over to Matt, and I sent Matt a email, and I said, hey, what's the status? How's it going? Do you need anything more from us? What's an estimated time? And I think I copied Aaron, Mike, and yourself on it, and that is the last I've heard of it. So I'm going to call Kyle again tomorrow and just figure out
I'll
what's
call
going
him
on.
after this meeting.
Yeah.
You and I will go in my
Okay.
office, we'll call him
Yeah.
if it's time.
So
But there's a link for, we can look at this.
we can
correct?
look at it, but there's less information on that link than there was when James was doing doing it. It would go more places, and now you do this link and it doesn't go
Okay.
anywhere.
Yeah, we need to get an update.
Yeah,
It's been 6 months.
yeah.
That, I don't know, Secretary McDonald or Councilor Wiley, if you have any more that you want to add to the place it is, so.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we might be starting to take a step backwards.
Yeah, and I mean, I've called and I
All right,
haven't gotten a
so-
call back, so
So
I don't know what else to do.
We'll make that contact, see where we get with that. Okay, anything further on website? Okay, moving on to unfinished business, item 8B, the kiosk management, placement, and use policy. I don't know if any members have taken a look at it. I did some light review on it. I did not get these over to Secretary McDonald, but I guess I'll give it over to Secretary McDonald.
Thank you. I only received feedback from the chairman and from Mr. Watley. And subject to what anybody may have done, on the Pollyant Trail, the kiosk policy, first page, Aaron noted that the kiosks maybe 10 years may be too long for maintain, we don't know how long they'll last, is what I assume that was meant. And then whenever a kiosk is purchased and installed, he suggested that we would only replace when funding is available to do so. And then the donor is responsible, on number 9, the donor is responsible to confirm total cost with the trail manager prior to their donation. I think that covered most of it, didn't it, Aaron? I think.
Yeah, it was so long ago I can't remember, but yes,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Yeah. So, any other changes would be strictly up to the members.
Yeah, Councilor Nold.
I have to ask the question to get the answer I'm looking for. Who does the maintenance and upkeep for these?
Trail manager generally.
So if we have some that get to the point as age as quicker than the others, because they're all going at the same time, how do we determine if it needs to be taken down, put back up, the extent of the repair, and things of that nature?
Well, the hope is that they're pretty maintenance free because they're made out of the recycled plastic. It just will be on a case by case basis. Some areas get more wear and tear than other areas, so they may fail. Hopefully they put up at the same time, hopefully they don't all fail at the same time. But it's just on a case by case basis. So we won't know until we put them out there and see how long they last. So.
Let's get them out there.
Well, I'm working on it. I need to know where to put them first. Hint, everybody, where do you guys want them? Yeah.
But this document here, would this be the total policy itself?
Well, yeah, it will be inserted in with the policy consolidation that we did a few months ago. So it looks like a standalone document right now, but in reality, it will be incorporated after approval into the one that covers, any objects that go on the trail, benches, picnic tables, etc. It will include this as
Okay,
well.
all right, so, I mean, I have several comments on it. I know that it's a 9-page document, what I was looking at.
Well,
When I started looking at it, pages 3 and 4, and then I went to page 5 and 6 look like almost exact same wording as pages 3 and 4. So my thinking is that, and I apologize to you, Secretary McDonald, that I should have got these to you quicker, but it seems like we need to really fine tune this policy even tighter than what we're seeing in front of us. And one of my questions are plantings necessary? Are you looking for plantings around the kiosks?
No.
Okay.
okay, so then we won't make any reference to attachment A, which will in
Yeah,
fact
you-
eliminate, attachment A will be is in the main policy already, covering standalone items on the trail. So it won't actually, it'll reduce this package by 2 documents, but it won't affect the overall.
Yeah. So,
But that should be clearly stated then, because it isn't, for sure. I didn't know what we planned on that.
right, and this was a start to get this in place. I think it's good that it is in place, because it sets the parameters of where they're going, what will be placed in it, the types of documents that are in it. But I didn't know, like, who produced it or whatever, when we fill in the blank on this. Is it possible we could get the document that this is gonna be inserted into to see how it's gonna fit into that, and then reduce this down even further?
Oh, okay, sure.
That way there we can bring this back, and maybe I can get with you on my thoughts.
Yeah, you can give me if you've got notes.
Okay.
I'll do
I
like I
better
did.
copy them off first to get them to you, so I know
Okay,
what I
okay.
noted.
Because it would be kind of treated like our benches. So if somebody were to donate it, it actually becomes the property of the Pollyant Trail. We maintain it, and if we need to move it for whatever reason in the future, it's up to our discretion. If it needs to be removed because of failure and somebody else donates it, we're not responsible to return anything to the donors.
But this won't be a standalone policy, though.
No,
It'll
it's
be
going to be
inserted into the
incorporated
bench,
with the bench,
trash
the
cans.
trash cans, picnic tables,
tables.
any of that stuff.
So I think, at least from my perspective, that's what we need to see,
Right,
instead of thinking we're just gonna approve this as a
Right.
separate document.
yeah.
So-
Bring it back in August. I don't know.
So I'm gonna, anything, council, that you wanna add to this, or discuss on? If not, what I'm gonna do then is, I'm gonna get with Secretary McDonald, Trail Manager Moran, myself. We'll bring back the documents for consideration at the August meeting, so everybody can be a little more clear on it. And I guess if you haven't read it and you wanna supply comments, please bring those forward, so we can have this potentially ready to approve in August. Anything further?
If the chairman desires, I will amend the document as we've discussed and based on whatever we see from you as far as
Sure.
potential changes. And I will get that out to the council members before the August meeting
Yeah.
and the trail manager.
Councilor Nold?
Didn't we order those? You can answer that question? Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Placement. Aaron doesn't care where his goes. We have one that's going at Lake George Road.
I just said, tell me where you want.
Oh,
I didn't
tell
say-
me.
I didn't care.
Oh, that's John. All right.
Well, you
Yeah.
gotta
Aaron,
remember
where do
who
you
you're
think?
dealing with there.
Talk,
She's on a roll.
Tell me
Here.
where you want to put it and then show us and then
Okay.
we'll, yeah.
Well, okay. So,
did
so
you
that,
tell her you don't
Oxford
care?
Township, do you have a preference?
No, it was never brought up, myself, maybe, Councilor Nold can correct me if I'm wrong, but, if it's going on the trail, why would the township have any
It's going
say?
into the Oxford Township zone.
It's in the township, so to
Right.
speak.
So you get one, Addison gets one, Orion gets one, Leonard gets one, and the Village of Oxford gets one.
So my assignment is to put this on my July township board meeting to see if there's any opposition.
I would have a suggestion where you'd like to see.
Yeah, with her bringing it forward, this is what I
Yeah,
like it.
But my comment was earlier, it's all related to this. We have 8 of those sitting somewhere, because we ordered them early, 5 of those sitting somewhere. So what we're waiting to put those in the ground is location and our paperwork to make sure that we manage them correctly.
Right,
As long as the
and
board
builder
understands
permits.
that. Linda's waiting on us, we're not waiting on her.
Right. And building permits. So I have building permits on my desk right now for all of the communities. I just need to know where to stick them and submit them. So I just need to know where. And then we'll get to the when.
All right, so I better get with her, right, Linda?
Get on it,
Yeah,
Chris. Enough slacking.
Okay. All right, we beat on that one enough, probably. So we're gonna move on to, unless there's any further, I don't think so. We're gonna move on to item 8C, seal coating proposals. Linda went out and solicited companies that could do seal coating for us. She did receive 2 proposals back. As you can see, one came from A&R Seal Coating, the second one came from HD Seal Coating and Paving LLC. They're within hundreds of dollars of each other. The question is, to council, do you want to proceed with one of these 2 companies to do, I guess in this case, the whole thing? You want to do part of it, you want to do none of it, you want to pull it back until we get the design in place for the monies that we've allocated through ARPA and also potential grants. So I'll open the floor up to discussion with council, and Councilor Noel, you can be first.
My only comment is I've been involved with a lot of seal coating this summer. This seems to be the summer for poison ivy and seal coating people. Where do we, in your opinion, where do we fit with the direct benefit of the seal coat?
Right now, it has never been seal coated. The cracks have been sealed a few years ago, but it's never been seal coated. It's starting to show significant wear. Some of the cracks are starting to open up. There's going to be failure. We're going to have potholes. It's going to start to break down. I don't know if Kristen wants to wait until we do the design and include that with the design and do an overlay on it. Should we seal coat it now and remove that from our design? It's like 20 grand.
Did they say how long the seal coating would last?
They-
20 years?
I don't believe so.
See, this is why I brought this up, is
Yeah.
that seal coating is great for cosmetics. How much more time is it going to add to the normal wear and tear in the trail? Is there gonna be a benefit for is it 20,000?
I don't know.
What was the number?
Oh, it was 19,000 and 20,000, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Secretary McDonald.
In my experience, which I am not by any means an expert, but the crack sealing is far more important than the sealing. Crack sealing is what stops a lot of the elements, the rain, snow, etc., from getting in and under the base layer and ruining the surface. So it is important, and most of the cost is probably for doing that. The seal coating it is a relatively fast and easy thing to do for most companies, but when you start doing crack sealing, it becomes labor intensive, equipment intensive, and it just takes time to do it. Even in the village of Leonard, we pay between 10 and 15,000 every year for crack sealing services on less than 2 miles of road. So it's a very expensive proposition.
Well,
And
it's
that's
showing-
not for seal coating.
If I may,
Yeah.
it's, the
Councilor
seal coating
Pfeiffer.
actually percentage-wise, I'm looking at one of them now, is actually a relatively small percentage of the overall quote.
Yeah,
It's,
3,000.
Yeah, 25, well, and then with the fill.
Right.
So actually, as a percentage, it's actually quite a small portion. Most of it is the actual,
Filling
coating
of the cracks, yes.
part. And so the coating part is, are we calling it just aesthetic, or is there, does it help to keep cracks from forming, or do we know?
To be completely honest, I'm not that well versed on seal coating. So I know that we have a lot of problems with cracks. I've filled some of the cracks myself that are, 2 inches wide, just trying to keep it from opening up more. So, I mean, the crack filling and sealing of the cracks are probably the most important thing. And I think probably the other is cosmetic. I don't know. Anybody?
You've had seal coating done by Birmingham, right?
Yes.
How's that held up?
Well,
How long ago and how's
We
it
had
held?
the crack sealed by Birmingham 4 years ago now.
Behind Frosty Boy?
Yeah, no, they did the whole trail when the safety path went and did their crack sealing. So we piggybacked onto their contract when they did the safety path. That was about 4 years ago. Those have held up well. We haven't had much of a problem, but other ones are starting to open up. We have some larger cracks that are opening up. So
Maybe even more important are the heaving of the trail, where some of the root system has caused some of this cracking, and now you've got a double problem.
yeah, now we've got a lot of heaving going on right now by just north of Drainer.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm all in favor of the cracks cutting out like we did behind Frosty Boy, and they put some new material down and things. I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of benefit for the amount of money spent to put the black water-soluble substance down.
So just like the cracks are, they're not gonna cut anything out and fill those cracks. They're just gonna go in with a material.
In the past, we've
Yeah.
done I'm talking about the
Yeah.
maintenance of it.
Yeah.
I consider that maintenance, where they've cut the cracks out, or when you filled the 2-inch cracks with that rubber substance and things.
Yeah.
That, I'm in favor of that. I'm not sure we're gonna get benefit from the black substance being
Spread.
spread.
And that will eliminate the trail having to be closed for 2 days too. Because when I talked to the guy, he said, once we put that black paint, let's just, I don't know, whatever, sealant stuff on it, you have to close the trail for 2 days. Nobody's gonna stay off that section of the trail for 2 days.
Counselor Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I concur. I think the cracks obviously need to be dealt with, and it sounds like that's held up for a long time. The cost is minimal in comparison to the overall quote. When you talk about the heaving and those areas that were cut out, I would rather see, rather than sealing, which seems to be cosmetic by the knowledge sitting here, I'd rather see, if we are gonna spend more money, we focus on the areas that are being damaged by roots and that, and maybe we do look at that as a separate issue and say, okay, we know we need to fill the cracks, let's get a quote on fixing the areas, you identify the worst of them, and let's get a quote on fixing those, and that seems like a lot better use of our money and effort than the cosmetic and again, like you said, the shutdown.
Right.
Secretary McDonald, Vice Chair Brakefield next.
Why don't we have a quote from Birmingham Seal?
They don't do it any longer.
Oh,
They've gotten out of the business.
Okay.
H&D, or H&B, the quote that we have, the $20,000 quote, is a company that Ryan from Birmingham Seal Coat recommended. That's who he is sending all his customers to that need that kind of work done. The other one, Curtis recommended, so,
Yeah, we also reached out to Doug's seal coating. He said he couldn't get his machinery
right.
down the trail to
Yeah.
make those. Oh, he was just seal coating anyway.
Yeah, he was just seal coating,
He was
yes.
just seal coating. Vice Chair Brakefield.
Mine's two-part. I couldn't find the A&E quote in here. You've
A&R?
got a single letter. I've got the Silco, not A&E, but the other one.
HD.
Was it? HD. I've got HDs, but not, I've got
A&R?
a single page.
Yeah, that's A&R's. And then
A single page, but look how thick HD is, like
Yeah,
5 or 6 details.
they did a lot of details. Kind of confusing to read it, I thought.
But my next question is there no one in Orion or Oxford or Addison Township can do this?
Well, I contacted, I think, a total of 5 companies. One never called me back. 2 gave me quotes. One said that it was too small of a job, they don't do that. And then the other one said he couldn't get the machineries
Well,
down.
at least you tried.
I tried. I mean, I was
Okay.
trying to get everybody out there, so.
So, what I'm hearing is we're gonna move forward with some crack sealing, potentially.
Yep.
And, forego the seal coating, and, maybe go out and get more quotes for the heaving of some of the areas down the trail. Counselor Watley.
Was this, excuse my not doing research on this for the past budget, did we budget appropriately for this year?
No.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like these are projects, what Matt had said as well, like, let's do some investigation, this is just my opinion, on what areas need to be resolved, what have heaving and root growth underneath. Get some quotes, do our due diligence this year, and budget appropriately for next year. We have multiple things in the hopper right now with grant applications that require a match, and we're halfway through the year. We don't know what's going to take place for the remainder of the year. We have large projects coming. I get it, like Linda, you're a go-getter, and you're always out there like looking at different things, but like maybe this fall we sit down and we do our due diligence on what our priorities are, where we need to allocate funding, what are safety concerns, things like this, rather than just, like, I know we need to fill cracks, but what's our priorities? Where's the money? We only have so much money.
I was actually very hopeful that we possibly could piggyback that on with our grant, because I think we've talked about adding that, like a laminate, is it a laminate that you had mentioned before, of the asphalt?
So they would do basically like a mill?
Yes.
And then put a surface,
Right,
new surface,
Right.
Layer on top?
yeah.
of it.
So
So
hopefully we can hang on to that.
probably by, like Councilor Wiley said, we're gonna get some results of these grant applications
Soon.
sometime to let us know where we stand.
Yeah.
So that could piggyback into what he's saying.
Yeah.
I know, trustee, or, Councilor Noel, you had your hand up.
We need to sit down with some criteria on this. We've talked about 3 things. One more thing I'd like to add, if there's any, and I haven't seen many on the trail, any low areas that collect the water sits on there in the wintertime, it gets down in the cracks and it pops it up. But if we have some potential low areas, I'd like you to, if it's the board's pleasure, to add that to the criteria to make sure that we try to eliminate those. That will save us money down the way.
Right.
So if we look at the cracks and possibly with the board's approval, the low areas as ideas were to get quotes right now, so the board has that in case there is money available. Then possibly the seal coat, if you can tie that with a grant possibly, that might be a good way to go.
Okay, Councilor Pearson or Treasurer Pearson, anything to add?
I would just say, first of all, everybody has seen that when they do the seal coat, everybody sees it in their driveway and everything. I mean, that's vehicular traffic. We have foot traffic. I think we're wiser to cut out the bad areas and replace bad areas and just fill in. We're talking about bicycles and foot traffic, and I don't think we have the breakdown. What we have is the root problem, and fixing the asphalt in pieces would be the wisest way to spend our money. I mean, that's just my opinion.
So we're looking at 1.5 miles of paved, what's the condition of the Leonard bypass, the bypass up there? The horse bypass?
Oh, yeah, the equestrian path.
Does that need any help?
It's,
It's actually pretty sound. I was up there today and we did weed whip around it. It's
grows
actually,
in, it grows in
Yeah,
fast
it
this
grows in
time of year,
fast,
so
yeah.
we don't, it gets used on weekends, but not much during the week. And the condition, I'd say, is generally good. It's just grown in a lot.
So it just needs the weed whipping or whatever you want to call it.
We did a large section of it and we mowed it this morning. The asphalt section in Leonard, except for one spot, which is right by a Gerst Road, which is a pothole where the asphalt has failed and we filled it in because of muskrat digging. I'd say the Addison, or Leonard is in really good shape. I mean, we don't have a lot of heaving. We have a lot of old oaks up there, so there's less root growth, quick root growth. Down here, we have box elders and we have mulberry trees, which is that quick root growth, which causes the heaving of the asphalt, and they're very close. You know.
Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll pull this back again and come back with some tighter information, and potentially in August, we'll have an update for moving forward with council.
And hopefully, we should have some grant information in August as
Hopefully,
well.
one of them should
Okay.
come back. Councilor Pfeiffer.
One other thought on which, so you reached out to 5 different companies.
Yeah.
We ended up with 2 quotes.
Yes.
I think that's pretty common in today's world. The only thing I would be cautious of is going back to these people and say, now we want you to re-quote it a different way. We could lose our opportunity to have somebody that actually even wants to do the work. So however we handle this, I would just be sensitive to that, because I know as a owner of a business that sometimes bids work, that there's nothing more frustrating than rebid, and there's, they might just go where it's less squeaky.
Right.
So just however we handle it, that would be my only
Sure.
2 cents to add into
Sure.
our thought process.
Good comments on that. All right, Linda, so that's on our agenda as well. Luckily, it's only 1.5 miles.
It's about 1.25 miles.
All right, so we're going to move on here. We beat that one enough. New business, crossing signal flashers. Linda, you indicated that there was some problems with them, then they started working again, and now there's no parts available for the existing flashers. So what is the story here? What do we need to do?
At Burdick, as of this afternoon, both flashing crossing lights were working. Now, that being said, if we went out there right now, they may not. The components that are in these flashing beacons are no longer manufactured. The Road Commission, when they have one of these hit by a car, they scavenge the parts out of it, put it on a shelf, and they use those as spare parts. So basically, what we got is what we got. They don't make the parts for these things anymore. The one on Drainer is not working 100%. The end flashers are not flashing. The road facing ones are flashing, but the end flashing ones on the north side is not working. They don't have parts for them. I've talked to them multiple times.
You say them.
The Road Commission,
Road
Road Commission of Oakland County. And basically, that's where we're at. They're old, and they suggest we get new ones. So,
Counselor Knoll.
There's no aftermarket person that's making internal components for that?
we can't repair them because the contract we have with the Road Commission of Oakland County is they're the only ones that can repair them.
Change that by any chance?
I tried, and no, that's the contract we have. Now, going forward, the flashing beacons at Burdick Street will probably be redone when the redesign for that crossing is done. And I think that's on our list for our grants, is to actually get different light systems. So if they're working functional enough, we just hang on until the grants come
If we
through.
redo the Burdick Street, do we have to do it in like? In other words, does the road commission have to manage those and put those in? Or
Well-
can we possibly get out of that arena?
It probably will be the Road Commission again.
Don't shake your head.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's in the Road Commission right of way, they don't want us, the Pollyant Trailway Management Council, the village of the village of Oxford or Oxford Township out there monkeying with their things trying to fix them. They want qualified, certified people working on their equipment in their right of way. We get to pay for it,
I understand.
but
Thank you.
Treasurer Pearson,
I didn't think they were that old. How old are they?
2011.
and that's
Very
considered
old
ancient.
For a traffic light,
2011,
is
we
it?
approved that.
It's pretty old.
Like version 1.0.
So we're only gonna get 10 years or 12 years out of a traffic light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
I will
the-
say I came through there on Monday and the eastbound ones were not working, but the westbound ones were working. But
It just depends on the day.
they'll last, huh?
There's the motion approving them.
They put in new fuses. They actually used car fuses to try to get them to work. And the car fuses did work for a short period of time, but I think they burn out. So I don't know
Now,
They were a lot of money
for a
for,
lot of money.
this sounds like a liability waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
You know, so either
Yeah.
you take them down, or you get new ones, find funding, because if you can't repair something that isn't manufactured,
they control these lights. We aren't allowed to repair them, but they're our responsibility.
correct.
Is that accurate?
That
So
is
it's our
accurate.
liability that they won't let us repair.
it's our dollar.
Yeah,
And they charge us every time they come
But
out
they
there.
won't, they can't even repair these. So basically, they're leaving us completely liable for an accident to happen and not giving us the opportunity. I mean, that something's wrong here.
right.
And I don't know enough about the history but I don't want us to be liable. And I don't want somebody to get hurt. I mean, I use these crosswalks. You assume they're on when you hit that button.
Right. And that's the problem. I've called them multiple times. They send somebody out. We get charged, is it like $250 an hour for them to come out? $300 an hour?
mine's like a $2,000 bill per year.
Yeah,
With
to
these-
maintain these or have them come out and do service calls. We can't maintain them. They are the only ones that can maintain them. And they send us, the Pollyant Trailway Management Council, a bill for the services rendered to those lights. I know.
I don't know what we can do to protect
$47,000,
ourselves.
$50,000.
but-
Also, $6,000 a year. I mean, if you take what the total cost was, and you divide that over, we got 12 years out of them.
Yeah.
And then you take a $2,000 a year repair bill, it's costing us a lot of money every year for that. We should hire a little old lady with a little stop sign, be cheaper.
Crossing
I am concerned about our liability here. I don't know, I mean, it seems like we'd need a lawyer, legal opinion, which I know is money, or a letter to them saying, listen,
Right.
you guys have to take over either
Well-
repairing it or
Yeah, there has
take
to be
over the liability.
Take it out.
Yeah.
Now, Kristen, how
Vice
does
Chair
it, how
Brakefield.
does it
Well,
work
that
on
was
your line?
exactly what I was gonna say. I think a nice, polite letter to the road commission, letting them know that your incompetence of not supplying the parts is making Pollyant Trail liable, and we do not want to be liable for accidents because of the signs, or something very polite.
Right.
Basically, to direct a lawsuit to somewhere else other than us, because you've got a document saying this is not us, this is your responsibility to get them going. We'll pay for it, but your responsibility, we can't fix it.
That makes a lot of sense.
And how does
Councilor
airline?
Nold.
Can we take them out?
Yeah, you can take them out and put regular crossing signs. I mean, that's all all we're required to do.
Are we allowed to?
Well, we can't do it. We'd have to have the road.
Pay them to do it?
Right.
The-
No.
The crux of it is they have the right of way.
Right.
They have, through that authority, they have the right to determine what signage, electrical, whatever, is gonna be on their property and who takes care of it. And that's where they have the control. There's no way we can leverage that away from them.
Councilor Nold.
If we were to take that out and go back to the old method, whatever that's a sign or how that works, that would take care of our liability, our expenses, and maybe down the road, we could buy our old signs back and put them up with, no, I'm teasing.
Well,
Maybe.
it is my understanding with those crossing lights, and Kristen may be able to help me out here, they were given to us by the road commission.
No.
We had to pay for it? Okay.
$47,000.
Oh, there you go. See?
My suggestion would be, let's reach out to the traffic safety department at the road commission and have them be part of this conversation. And let them, kind of direct
give
the
some
trail
direction.
council as to what the options are and what the most cost-effective and safest solutions
Sure.
are for those crossings for the traffic control devices.
Treasurer Pearson.
Who controls ones on M24? I don't see any flashing lights on those right downtown Oxford. Everybody just kind of walks across,
It's
right?
MDOT.
That's
But they
MDOT.
don't have any big old flashers that.
MDOT controls, and I believe they contract with road commission as well.
But there's just a crosswalk there. Crossing M24.
You got the hand there. It's showing red with a flasher that you got so many seconds to get across, like the countdown.
The little
I'm
walker
talking
guys.
about the ones in the middle of the road that they did
Oh,
with those
you're right.
little
The refuge island in the
doodads and
center.
everybody
pedestrian
ran
crossings.
over. Pardon?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
nothing
so what the,
That's even more dangerous
Oh, yeah,
than.
use it all.
exactly.
One-
That would be my recommendation, is let's contact the road commission between now or very soon. We could put that on the
August meeting.
list of things. I would do it before then. And
No, they have
let's-
it ready for the August meeting.
Yeah.
For direction.
No, let's have a conversation with them offline,
No,
not with the
you're
full
right.
board,
right.
but.
But if we have to
um,
make
right.
action on the
Yeah,
August meeting,
yep.
we can do that. Write that down, Linda?
Got it.
Okay. Okay, that's where we're headed with that one. Anything further on crossing?
I just would like
Well, we
to
got a
add
couple
that
more.
we've had nothing but problems with those crossing signs ever since we put them in. And Mike and I were here when we put them in, and we've had nothing but problems, and it's cost us an awful lot of money. So either somebody sold us a bill of goods that these things don't work, because I haven't seen those particular lights anywhere else, but somebody certainly gave us something that only lasted 10 years. And I mean, I look at traffic lights all over, and they've been up there for 50 years. I've never seen them fail, and yet here we have something in 10 years that is junk.
Or fail and get fixed. Be able to be
Correct.
fixed.
And now we can't even fix them.
Yep, and I believe your rapid flashing beacons are one of the early models. They've changed designs on them a little
To
bit.
where they'll
on the
break.
Manufacturing on them, so,
Well,
yeah. But do you know if you have signal, contracts with the road commission for these? And what does that language say within the,
I've
The
forwarded
signal
it.
You
agreements.
forwarded that to me.
Yeah, Curtis has an actual copy
so
of the
let's take a look at
contract.
those and just look at what the contract language says in it as
'Cause
well.
when we
have
started
to dig
having
out
problems
again,
with them
but-
about when we started really having problems with them early
I was
last
gonna say,
year.
Mike and I have had this issue
Yeah.
too with DTE, that they're buying the stuff from overseas and they don't make the parts anymore. Would that happen to be the problem? I mean, we're with DTE, remember that all the insulators are all failing. They're all from China, and now they have a grant where they're putting all new insulators in Leonard and Addison Township. And is this another incident where we bought something from possibly a vendor in China or something, or?
Can't speak to that, Bruce.
No.
Counselor Pfeiffer, then Counselor Knoll.
I would still strongly recommend that we get a letter out now, just so that I love the paper trail idea. So we acknowledge and we see there's a problem and we can't figure out how we can fix this problem and get it on their radar that we're very concerned and that, so can we move forward with that while this next step happens? Doesn't have to be anything, we don't have to use any harsh words, just something saying, hey, this is a real
Something on
concern
record.
for us, and we want to make sure it's on your radar, and that maybe that could even be start of the process to invite them to a full discussion or to the board. I don't know. I feel this just seems like something
Sure.
that's ripe for an issue, and distracted driving. I think our odds are more and more that something's going to happen.
Maybe we get some railroad.
Counselor Knowles.
I agree with that, but do we need to get a position from the board that direction's already provided, so when you do have this interaction, that the two doing the interacting can say, yeah, we just like to either have them out, relieved of it, something else put in?
I'll entertain any motion
I don't
council
know.
wants to
What's the
move forward.
board's, what's the board's flavor?
You want to direct the chair to draft a letter to the attorney and indicate what you want to have in that letter?
Well,
I'm all for it. Go ahead, Treasurer
I
Pearson.
would suggest that, I think that we need to address the letter to the road commission saying that we see a potential dangerous situation and it was their obligation to maintain these. And if they cannot maintain them, please advise us and make the appropriate actions so that nobody gets hurt. And then that leaves them on the liability edge where they have to decide what they want to do, either take them down or fix them. I mean, because we're not allowed to fix them, and they're saying they don't want to fix them because they don't have the parts. So it should be their responsibility. They should tell us what has to be done.
All right.
That seems perfect to me.
All right.
For a
So,
start.
Is that a direction for the chair to contact the
Yes,
attorney?
that
and
would be
get
my
the-
motion.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, good luck on that motion, Secretary McDonald.
Who made the second? I'm still catching up.
Counselor Knowles.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the table.
There's
I
a
believe.
motion, the motion to address a communication to the Road Commission of Oakland County / Traffic Safety Division to address, to authorize the chairman of the PATMC to contact the Road Commission regarding potential liability of the parties due to the inability to repair the crossing items due to parts availability or other cause.
And to make the road commission responsible for telling us what has to be done to maintain that safety, make that their responsibility. Either they tell us that they have to come down or they can't be fixed or whatever, let them tell us what has to be done. And we're putting that burden on them.
Okay, so
That makes sense?
it's on tape. All right, Counselor Knoll, do you re-second that motion?
Second?
Okay. All right. I want to have you repeat the motion, but we'll take a roll call vote on that, Secretary McDonald. Oh, wait, time out. Do you want a dollar limit on the attorney involvement? Shouldn't take more than 2 hours, probably. 200.
Are we getting the attorney involved at this point?
I don't think
Maybe
so.
right now.
You just want the letter without attorney?
I think it's a start.
Well,
It starts the documentation.
Since the chairman's gonna be doing the talking, or the letter, drafting the letter,
I've-
what
no
do
problem.
you require before you write the letter?
I think legal counsel review that they're aware of it in case it goes any farther.
So they should get a copy of the contract that we signed.
Yep.
And our
Yes.
liability policy, I guess,
Mhm.
for insurance.
2 hours.
Okay.
If necessary,
Is that part of the motion?
if necessary.
Yes.
Is that part of the motion, Bruce?
Yes,
To author-
but I feel that after we send this letter to them, all you're gonna see is a plastic bag over them.
Well, it would be a plastic bag.
Oh, my goodness.
For $200.
What do we get into, Linda?
Okay,
I'm just telling you they're broken.
Yeah, you are. And they're working. They're broken, but they're working.
okay, let's pass two motions if,
You want to pass two
Mr.
motions?
Mr.
You want,
Chair,
you,
well, first for the original direction to the chairperson to write a letter to the road commission, traffic safety. And then if you want attorney, if there's the desire for attorney,
All
let's
right.
pass another motion for that.
okay, so let's vote. Let's vote on motion 1, then make the motion for motion 2. So, all in favor of writing a letter to the road commission for Oakland County signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Now, Secretary McDonald making motion for the attorney involvement.
Second.
How do I do that? Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize up to 2 hours of attorney time for assistance on this query.
All right, any further comment or question on that? If not, we'll call a roll on that for money expenditure.
Motion to approve 2 hours of attorneys for the crossing signal flashers issue. Ed Brakefield,
Yes?
Mr. Pearson,
Yes,
Mr. Pfeiffer,
Yes.
Mr. Watley,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Nold,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald, yes. Motion carries.
All right. We're over that one. Now we're on to Lakeville Road pedestrian crossings. Oxford Township, through our Safety Path Committee, is looking at the potential of installing 3 pedestrian crossings across Lakeville Road. In your packet, you'll see those 3 areas that are being proposed. This is the ability to allow the Safety Path system from Oxford Village and Oxford Township to access the Pollyant Trail and vice versa, requiring 3 potential crossings in there. The question is that, number one, is council opposed to this happening? The next issue is you can see how many entities will be involved to make this a reality in certain areas of the trail. So this is something that if council supports this, then we'll be, I guess we can just move forward with a motion if you want to indicate that, or wait for more feedback to come back to see if this is going to be acceptable to the road commission for Oakland County. So I'll open the floor for comments, questions. Secretary McDonald.
I just want to remind the council that we did authorize, recommend, I should say, that a easement be granted on the Pollyant Trail property should one crossing be made. And that was the one near State Street, if I remember right. I could be wrong.
That was the original discussion
Yeah.
that took place. That was the one.
So we're already on the record for that, for one. I guess, I'm just making sure we're all on the same page.
Now, the one down by the Wildcat Drive, there where the middle school is, the road commission did indicate that that's a possibility, but that was over 10 years ago. So really, the determining factor will be their approval, from what I understand, because it is their road. Lakeville, they maintain it. So, go ahead, Treasurer Pearson.
well, I know that Wildcat one very well, and that, when school is in session, and if anybody wants to use that, that's gonna really make a bottleneck when the parents come out of that school, because that's gonna stop the left turn signal. And so if any of the children come out there to use that, it's just gonna stop traffic dead there. Because there's a light green that keeps you coming westbound at some times, and then there's also one that's just an arrow letting people out. And as soon as somebody pushes that button, at the same time the parents are coming, nobody's going to get out of there. It's just going to, because there's going to be something to stop the light, right? Because they have to stop the left turn. I mean, it's going to be a mess. But
I don't know what I guess the pedestrian count is in certain times of the day, because
they have a crossing guard right there. That's the crossing guard lady is always there for the Wildcat Drive. But now you're putting another element in there of crossing onto the trail, and the kids will use that to go to State Street. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can propose that. I'm just saying, it looks to me like a
Mr. Chair?
disaster.
yeah, Councilor Nold.
Mr. McDonald and I had a little sidebar here. They could put a button on that. That's a long light, first of all, and everybody acknowledges that's a real long light when school comes up. If they were to put a button into the lighting system that would help direct the light to be favorable for the people going across Lakeville, that might be an option. We could suggest that. But the other thing I wanted you to clarify, the Safety Path Committee has some plans for some of the safety paths along there. Can you tell the board, help, I'm putting you on the spot, but
No, that's fine. That's fine. We are looking at, we actually approved the design and the bidding for the safety path system to go from Chinkapin Rill, which is the last entrance in Lakeville Mobile Home Park, all the way to Bar Road. So that would complete the safety path system from Addison Oxford Township line all the way into the village of Oxford. So that's a gateway for people coming from Orion Township that uses the unimproved Bar Road area. So they can actually use that on their mountain bikes or their fat tire bikes or whatever they want. But the concept here is that based upon the so-called goat paths that are going across where they're being heavily traveled by residents out of the mobile home park, out of the middle school, or coming out of Oxford Lakes, these are areas that were considered by the Safety Path Committee to say, all right, this will give 3 areas that people can actually cross and have somewhat of a safe time to get across there versus trying to navigate 50-mile-an-hour traffic to actually try to negotiate to get across Lakeville Road. So that's where we're at with these. And because the Pollyant Trail is part of the process of getting an approval, that's why it's in front of us for saying, do you have an issue with it? Because this will be driven by Oxford Township for the most part with the approval of the Oakland County Road Commission, and then whatever other approvals are going to be necessary. So what I listed is the ones that I could think of that would be involved with this, because Caney Materials, for example, is also one of the big pieces because they own property between the Pollyant Trail and the right-of-way of Lakeville Road. So if they say, no, we don't want to give any type of an easement here, then the projects are all dead in the water. So there's an overview, a summary of what's going on here. So what I'm looking for from this council is to take back to the Safety Path Committee that are we on board with this or are we not? And if we're not, then that might say, okay, this isn't going to work. Go ahead, Treasurer Pearson.
I understand one. I thought we were talking about the State Street crossing. That's where the residents first came to us and they wanted to get across the State Street. I'm really concerned by putting 3 crossings on that stretch of highway there. I mean, I don't know how are people going to take them serious once they get moving again, and then they got to stop again, and then they get moving again, and they got to stop again, and I'm just wondering if we should just try to maintain the first one that the people came to us from the subdivision,
Sure.
and try to make just one crossing and make everybody go down to that.
That's why we put 3 in, because the thought is that even though you have that one, if somebody comes out of Grampian Drive, for example, they're not going to drive all the way up to State Street to go to the Pollyant Trail. They're going to cut across the existing path that's already established there. So that's the thought process behind it. Counselor Knoll.
We're not gonna stop the crossover, whether there's a goat path to do it or not. If they're gonna cross over, they're gonna choose to do that on their own. We're trying to have areas for them to, in our mind, or in MDOT's mind, that are considered safe zones to cross. You're concerned about the traffic flow amongst there with 3 of them, and want to know if we should have 3. I think what Curtis is looking for is, does the board have a problem if we endorse the 3 or the usage? I'm not sure MDOT's gonna give that. That was discussed in another conversation. Curtis, have you had any feedback from MDOT in regards to,
No, I don't know if MDOT's involved, it's because it's a county road.
or the county is
Yeah.
involved with that?
Yeah. The only feedback I had, like I said, I had a letter from Chuck Keller from 2011, 2009.
Okay.
They were agreeable to the Wildcat Trail, and I didn't think they were, because we talked about this before, and I was corrected on that. But since then, it's like our engineer brought these forward to us for the projected locations. So, just looking for feedback to bring it back so we can take it further, that Pollyant Trail's in favor of 3, 2, 1, or 0, 4 more. So that's the purpose that it's on here, so we can move the topic, so to speak. Secretary McDonald.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend that the Pollyant Trail Management Council agrees in concept with the crossings being proposed, subject to approvals being obtained from the involved parties, and that subject to the trail will only contribute recommendations for easements on trail-controlled property.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Secretary McDonald and a second by Treasurer Pearson to approve the crossings in concept. Any further comments or discussion? Vice Chair
With
Brightfield.
with the motion the way it is, if somebody is crossing over Lakeville Road, we've then given them our blessing to put the crossing to go to Pollyant Trail. Could they point to Pollyant Trail as being one of the recipients of a lawsuit if they get hit by a car crossing over?
Sure.
So I don't know if that's a
Named in
good,
any lawsuit, I would imagine.
but with that motion, it's saying we like it, the idea of being able to cross over to Pollyant Trail.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
In
because-
concept, subject to agreement of other parties that are required to give their blessing of approval.
Okay.
So everybody understand the motion? Okay, everybody understands the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, does the Safety Path Committee plan to do some work on this and get back with us with?
We are meeting on the 28th, which is a week from today.
Will there feedback be coming to the Pollyant Trail of what the outcome of some of the stuff?
Oh, sure,
Okay.
because everybody's involved with this. It may even come down to a meeting
I'm just
of the
thinking,
bullet
what would I
point
do? I'm driving,
on here,
Okay.
trying to get this
trailer park,
off
stop,
dead center.
take off by the
on
school,
this.
stop.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say that
Go back to here.
in my experience, and limited as it may be, we should be trying to help our member communities reach their goals. And I think if the goal is to make it safer for their residents that have recreational uses in our case, I don't see how we would incur more liability by helping our partners, our member communities, to accomplish their goals. And minimally, our exposure is certainly not singular. I mean, anybody that's connected to a project is in some way, shape, or form connected to it. So I think that if Oxford Township and/or Oxford Village want to try and do this, let's give them the ability to at least go out there and find out about it. That's why I made the motion.
Sure, sure. I mean, only part of this pedestrian trails, Pauling Trail is concerned with is just touching of where it connects to the Pauling Trail. There's nothing that we're involved with on the lineal foot of it. Treasurer Pearson.
I was gonna say, this is really gonna be up to the road commission.
Sure.
I mean, 3/4 of that is Oakland County Road Commission, then down by State Street, I believe that's gonna be in the village. If I'm half the village, half that's where that sign is for maintenance. And so, but my thing is, if they approve it, then it's gonna be their responsibility, and if they don't approve it, then there's a reason why they're not
Exactly.
approving it.
Whether it's sight distance or truck traffic or whatever it is. But we're going to move on here, and we're going to go to item 9C, fence condition and possible removal along the Pollyant Trail. Trail Manager Moran is ambitious to want to remove some fencing along the trail. She sent me several photographs of fencing along the Pollyant Trail, which is primarily in Orion Township.
There are 5 units of fencing in Orion Township.
Okay.
Some are needed, and some I don't feel are needed. And my thought is, as they start to fail, which they are now at the age where they are starting to dry rot and fail and become damaged, removing them and not replacing them. I'm not going to go out there tomorrow and rip them all down. I don't have time for that. But there are several sections right now that are dry rotting and failing. So they're becoming more dangerous in the condition than they are than taking them out.
So we're looking at 2,000 feet of fencing plus or minus. How much of that would be required to be left on the trail?
I would say probably a little over 1/3 of it. Anything over water, anything over a large ditch area where there's concern as far as erosion, that would have to stay. There's one particular section behind 1335 Joslyn Road by Aaron's place on the west side. There really isn't a need for that. There is a ditch or, but it's no more dangerous than any of the other drops on the trail. But the east side, I'm more concerned about erosion on that side. So the east side would have to stay. Maybe not as much or in its entirety. Some of it could be removed. Further down by Lawson Street, there's some sections of fence that go over water. They absolutely have to stay. There's some drops that would have to stay. Further down on the west side of the trail, there's absolutely no reason for them. It's level. I don't know why they were ever put up. Aaron, I don't know if you know why those fences were put up. I mean,
The ones by, can
Yeah.
I mean, the ones by the Orion Center,
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
So I don't, obviously those were put up for a reason. I would have hesitation saying, yes, go ahead and remove those if they were put up for a particular reason. It is a steep drop there.
You should just seal coat them.
they're beyond seal coating. There's several sections that if we do decide to keep
What a great
them,
idea.
they're gonna have to be replaced. They're starting to fail.
Yeah.
What's that last part, several sections?
Oh, they're starting to fail. They're
Secretary
starting to dry
McDonald.
rot.
I think that we should authorize, and I'm not making the motion, but I think we should have the trail manager and perhaps the chairperson talk with legal counsel about any liability that might be incurred from making changes to existing structures that may be related to safety. Something to
That's a
that.
good way to work.
And plus, we need to work with Orion Township, because they're all in Orion, correct?
Correct, they're all
And
in
make sure
Orion.
that they're on board for some of the changes, if any.
And
All right,
mine is, I'm just
We
looking,
will be in touch with the attorney then.
I think maybe more than the attorney, it would probably be more of an
Architects.
engineering.
Yeah,
engineers.
Engineering,
Who originally, can we pull records? Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
it's beyond me,
yeah.
because I don't know when those fences went in or anything that, Councilor Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I think I'd like to understand why they were
Huckleberry
put up,
Finn
if
when
that's
you need 'em.
possible. That would be before we would get to in my mind, before we'd get to an attorney. They were put up for some reason at a time, maybe conditions have changed, maybe not, but I think that would be the first goal, and if we couldn't do that, then it would probably, unfortunately, but we'd need an expert to make a determination so that again, that liability doesn't come back to the trail.
And again, this is something that if we get the opinion of an engineer, they can stay or they can go, whichever. Also, if they need to stay, then we can address it when we do our grants and we get new fencing put in. I am going out, I am identifying things that in the future need to be addressed, either by grants, when we go and we do our engineering for our grants, or something that possibly could be removed in the future to eliminate cost going forward. If we don't need these things and these things don't need to be maintained, let's get rid of them. But if we need them and the engineer says we need them, then we're gonna have to start either.
But you haven't done nothing
grants.
with them since they've been up, right, except replace what's been knocked down?
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't seal coated them or
No. No.
stained them or anything
No,
like
not
that?
seal coated. We haven't used any kind of polyurethane or anything. They're just ground treated wood. They've been up there as long as I
So they're not
am
hurting
aware,
nothing.
20 years
I heard
maybe.
nothing. They're just, the appearance doesn't look good, and
Well-
you'd like to take them out.
They're starting to split. The nails are starting to pop out. Somebody could be injured on that. So it's kind of, do we need to keep them? One, if we need to keep them, then we either get them on our grant, get them replaced when we do our grant, or we're going to have to start budgeting out over the next couple of years, address the worst ones first and start fixing them.
Secretary McDonald.
We have two pretty good reference sources. I think if Mr. Obrecht and former Orient Treasurer Alice Young were both on the council at the time those projects were created. So if for no other reason, if you can't find anything out through normal channels, maybe you could talk to them.
Yeah. And I think that Larry Mullins may have been the person that installed those.
Larry would be able to
And
tell.
Larry, if we can track him down, he's the guy that put them in, possibly, but the reasoning why they were put in, there's several sections that are just randomly placed. Before them and after them, it's still as steep, so I'm looking for guidance as to what to do with these.
Wouldn't you prefer to have somebody else make that determination?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do some more research on that. Will that be
Yeah.
you and I, Linda, or fill in the blank?
Yep, I'll figure it out.
All right.
We'll try to look on our end too.
Okay, all right.
Help you out.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it to the council. 'cause
Further
it's starting to
research.
fail.
Okay, we're going to move on to our 2022 audited financial statements. In your packet, counselors, is the audited financial statements. This is an excerpt out of the Oxford Township audited financial statements because our auditor now does the audit for the Pollyant Trail. And the cost evidently was reduced, that's why they're in there. So I took out the excerpt pages of what pertain to the Pollyant Trail. There's about 6 pages in there. Bottom line is that we have a fund balance totaling, page 64 of the audit, let's see here, $208,188 is the net position, and our ending fund balance is $111,553. So, to Councilor Watley's point, this is where we need to look at what we have available, how do we want to spend it, and that can be a very more lengthy discussion when we go through our budgeting for 2024. So if you want to discuss anything further on that, you can see what the numbers are. I did discuss with our auditor that we have monies that have been forwarded through ARPA monies. And I suggested that in the 2023 audit, that those get separate line item out because they'd be restricted for certain use. In this case, it would be for the trail resurfacing project. So that was a suggestion. So instead of having just a lump sum, as you can see, we would have that broke out to where it can only be spent for a certain purpose. So if there's no other questions or comments,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
yes, go ahead,
I
Councilman
move
Nold.
to receive and file the Pollyanna Trailway Management Council Audit Financial Report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion by Counselor Knoll, second by Counselor Pfeiffer to receive and file the 2022 audit for the Pollyant Trail Management Council. Any further discussion? If
Yes,
not,
I'd like to build on Aaron's comment. I think that sometime in the near future, we need to work on what our expectations for expenditures are for next year, and possibly have those available, so when we come up with projects that we need to do or would like to do, that we could easily go back and say we have money allocated for that.
Okay, good. So, maybe as early as the August meeting, we can put like a indirect workshop on the agenda and get your preferences of where you want the money to go and how much of it you want it to go. Yeah, Counselor Watley.
I was gonna say, I'd be happy to, if we wanna set up some time, Linda, to go through, I mean, we're not saying that we're perfect by all means, but we have a process in place on forecasting stuff, so I'd be happy to sit with you for an hour or two and go through and help at least get us going in the right direction, so.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, Secretary McDonald, will you call the roll on this, please?
Yes. Counselor, or Treasurer Pearson,
Yes.
Counselor Pfeiffer,
Yes.
Counselor Watley,
Yes.
Chairman Wright,
Yes.
Counselor Knoll,
Yes,
Secretary McDonald, yes. Ed Brakefield, excused.
Excuse, yeah.
Okay. Motion carried.
Okay, motion carries. All right, I brought this item back on this month, and I may keep this coming back. It just gives an overview on things that are outstanding and just kind of keeps us up to date on some things that are floating out there that may have not been addressed for a while. So just want to keep the process going and also maybe remove some of these things. So we'll try to make this like a lightning round here if we can and move things along and get out of here. But first of all, I just want to run down the list. This money that Ken Jimaszewski verbally committed to, Linda, we don't want a lot of explanation on it. Do we get it off the list because we're never going to see it?
Yes.
Okay, so that one's gone. The message boards we talked about in the meeting already earlier on here. The ordinance consistency, we talked about that at Roland Hall last month. It's gonna be a monumental exercise because you have different types of language in each one of the ordinances to try to meld those together to be consistent. got
Once we
five
get
diff-
through the grant situation, we'll have a conversation.
So the
Soon.
grant,
Coming back.
okay. 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 All right, so stop me, council, if you got any comments as I go along here, please, feel free to just jump in. Piston broke, that's predicated on Shoemaker Group.
Correct.
Got that one. Your bridge signs, stop signs, are those all in?
They're done,
They're done.
100%.
Okay, we talked about,
can we take those off?
Yeah, take that off.
so that's gonna
They're
come
done.
off. That's gonna come off. Now,
We're
the
taking Piston Broke off too, right?
not until we get
Well,
Shoemaker.
it's got nothing to do with Piston Broke.
We have to
We have to notify
actually,
them. We gotta notify them that
Okay.
they're no longer available. But as far as the load-bearing signs we're gonna put on the bridges,
we have not put those
are we
out.
going to?
Um,
Do you want to? Should we do it, Kristen?
We don't know what the load is. All we can do is put no motor vehicles on the bridges. There's signs, yeah, no, there's signs at either end of the trail unit area, no motorized vehicles. I mean, it's clearly marked at both ends.
So it's marked on the bridge?
It's,
So-
so it's,
so that
why
can come
why
off too.
mark it on the bridge? They shouldn't be there
Right.
anywhere,
Right.
anyway.
Rotary Park maintenance, how much of that are you doing versus them?
Right now, I've pretty much done most of it this year.
Yeah.
We are having a Rotary Pollinator Garden Day on Saturday, this Saturday. So they will be out there. We have about 8 people signed up to do the maintenance and planting and anything that needs to be done this Saturday at 9 o'clock.
This Saturday, which is June 24th?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and they're gonna do a one-time maintenance on it?
Yes, and Barclay is going to be resigning the position, and they are going to find a new chair that's going to be chairing the pollinator garden. He's had some family issues that were just brought to my attention,
Okay.
so he's not been available to spearhead it, so he's going to be turning that over to someone else in the Rotary. So hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that.
Okay, the DIA, we talked about the downtown Oxford DDA taking that over. Has that, they made any contacts there?
They are going to be doing that. We're only eligible for that grant every other year. I just don't want to wear it out.
So
If
take
we do
that
it,
off?
yeah, take it off.
Take it off, let them deal with it?
When, maybe we'll do something with it in the
Okay,
future.
next line is just a reminder that Daniel Zubak and Christopher Knights are still,
Yes, they are still
Okay.
our guys.
all right, I'm taking that off because we have that on the list as well. Osnamer, Addison Township, resolved, that was back in January.
Yeah, we haven't had any,
issues?
we haven't had any issues. I mean,
Okay,
I don't,
That's coming off.
yeah, I mean, I was up there today, everything is, nice and quiet.
Okay, well, Wojo's, you won't know the
Oh.
results until, oh, I'm sorry. Any-
Mike?
Well, we had the relatively recent incident of complaints about the clearing on the fence, but it's
No issue.
it's not being pursued at this point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take that one off as well.
Okay.
Wojo's, you're going to know the
Yeah,
result
couple
by
of weeks,
August.
couple
Maybe
of weeks.
$100 or something.
No, it's probably gonna be about $50 like last year.
Okay.
We'll know in a couple of weeks, we'll
All
get
right.
the check.
So that's coming off. It's in your report anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Urban Habitat, we're going to leave that one on because we do need to get that going for forward. We don't need it now, but we will as
Yeah.
long as he's interested. So
I
if
keep,
he's
I
not,
keep
then we got to
pestering
go
him.
to the next step on that one. The surface material, bank stabilization. Linda, you can share with council what you've done. This is going to come off because you completed it, correct?
For the beaver?
Yes.
Yes, the beaver culvert has been repaired. I'm letting it settle for a week. I'm hoping for some rain. I've got dirt. I'm gonna throw some dirt and some grass seed out there. We took 5 yards, we backfilled it. It looks great. I sent some pictures to Curtis. There was another area where between the turtles and the muskrats had dug out another area. We did fill that. We did put dirt on that, and we did put grass seed on that. So it's done.
And how much material do you have left?
None. We used all 5 yards.
So it's all used?
All 5
Okay.
yards.
All right,
Yeah.
so that one's off there. Todd Pollard, I'm probably going to take that off because we have no more involvement with
We don't
him.
have any more involvement with that. That is up to the DNR and Todd. He's been talking with them continually, and it has moved, in my opinion, 0.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it
But
is,
that's something that council
Yeah.
is willing to help if they can, but pretty much is
there's
Todd
nothing we can
Pollard
do.
and
That's,
DNR.
it's in the hands of the DNR
All right.
real estate department.
So if it comes back, it'll be an agenda item for Mr. Pollard bringing it forward. This is over to Aaron, restroom at Water Depot. How we doing?
We're on our original schedule of July, so we missed our early bird window. Couldn't get our permit through the health department in time, and so we're back on schedule.
Okay, all right. So we'll keep that one on for an update at the August meeting. Hopefully ground will be broke on that. Bob Brooks brush cutting agreement. Now, we approved him for
3 years.
3 years, back in October.
Yep.
Okay,
we're-
and that's for 10 hours
A
a
month.
month?
Right.
Okay, 10 hours a month at $55 an hour, and then he gets,
A stipends for the other-
350, is it a month or a quarter?
A quarter.
A quarter, 350 a quarter, okay. All right, and that is, you said 3 years?
3 years.
3 years, okay. I'll look that one up, make sure that is 3 years. That will come off then. David Vandenberg, again, we have hired him for 7 days last year, paid him $10,200, I believe, for what he did, and that hopefully will be reduced this year if we even need him.
Significantly, and I believe in some capacity, we will. We're having a lot of brush growth. We were up in Addison, we were doing some cutting. Orion is getting really overgrown. The section between Clarkston Road and Joslin
Clarkson, Joslin.
is bad. We're going to be working on it tomorrow with Home Depot, but we'll probably get 200 feet of it done. It's bad. The autumn olive is really taking over. We're going to have to cut that out. And the problem with our brush cutters that we have, if you don't clear around the trees manually, it grows into the trail, and these brush cutters can't get in there. These big machines can't get in there without cutting the trees down, which we don't want them to cut the trees down. So we're gonna try and clear out as much as we can around the trees, so in the future, the brush cutters can get down in there.
You said between Clarkston
And Joslyn,
and Joslin. Joslin, the,
northern part of Joslin and
okay, headed
Clarkston.
north.
Yeah, going north.
Headed
It's
north.
only like a mile, but we're
That's
gonna,
going between the Orion Library?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But the autumn olive over there is bad, real bad.
So, in your solution is Bob Brooks?
Bob Brooks, and I'm gonna have a couple of volunteer groups going out there. We're having one tomorrow. Home Depot's gonna be out there. We're gonna try and cut away as much as we can, make brush piles, and then Bob's gonna come down and wood chip it.
So when can we expect to have David Vandenberg propose agreement, and what do we need from him? Is that like October?
I would like to wait until August to see exactly where we're standing. I'd like to go through the summer and see how much we can get done, exactly where we stand. If it's wet, if it's dry, it just kind of depends. He did a really good job. He did a pretty intense job last
Yeah.
year. I would say probably cut it in half this year. I mean, he doesn't need to do what he did last year.
Right, I don't.
So I would say half.
So I'll keep it on for future
Yeah.
and for updates on that. In our seal coating quote, we talked about that. The next three, this is yours and Kristen's updates. Ralph C. Wilson, we have the $50,000 that's going to be going toward the
Design.
the resurfacing and that's for the engineering design, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anything more we need to know about that? I mean, it's been
No,
awarded.
It's just,
We
we gotta
just have to
spend it
spend
to
the
get
money
it.
by the end of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Oakland County Parks Grant, the award
We're hoping to hear something soon, end of June.
in the June. So, but
Yeah.
they missed their date.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a struggle with personnel. I mean,
Okay.
it's just.
So we'll know by
by.
our August meeting then.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Sparks Grant, the deadline was the 26th to submit. Yep. And then the awarding of that will be October or September 22nd. Okay.
Allegedly.
So that'll be a couple months out on that one. Schumacher, we talked about that. Home Depot Workday is tomorrow.
Yep. And you're all welcome to come out and help. Pizza at noon.
AT&T wires, that's going to be, that's going to stay where it's at, so I'm going
Yeah.
to take that off.
Take that off.
Okay. Dumping any place else except for what's on here, these two items?
Actually, the
54?
dumping has been down this year. Knock on wood.
Are these
So-
these two areas at 54 Division Street and Joslin Road, those can come off?
Yes.
Okay. So
I dealt with that with the code enforcement officer in the village of Oxford. And then, yeah, we're good. Take those
okay.
off.
Take graffiti off Larry Obrecht Bridge?
There is no graffiti allegedly at this moment.
Okay.
We had somebody that dumped a ton of logs out at the trailhead of the Pollyant Trail and just left them. Linda. Sorry, I was throwing a dig
Yeah.
at her. Sorry, Curtis.
Yeah.
Oh.
Speaking out of turn.
Yeah. It was me.
Well, I said jump in if there's.
It was
'cause
me.
I'm moving here and I'm
Well,
just not looking
You
up.
know, I was hoping Aaron was going to get his planer or his
You a woodworker?
his wood what do you call that thing? Plank cutter.
Chainsaw?
Sawmill?
Sawmill. That's it.
No?
That's the word.
Yeah, all right.
I'm still waiting for Aaron's sawmill.
I'll let you and Aaron work that one out. Adopt a trail, is that something you want to initiate, or is that something that?
Well, I would like to initiate it. The problem is the maintenance of it, overseeing it. You know, they agree in their contract for 3 years to come out 3 or 4
Who's
times a
they?
year. Whoever decides to adopt a section of the trail.
Enrollees, people that want to
Yeah.
do it.
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
okay.
So like say Aaron and his family want to come out and adopt a trail, you know, a mile of it, or John's family. They've got to commit to 3 or 4 times a year, and they have to come out and do something. Now, they're all gun ho like year 1, but then year 2 and 3 they're gone.
Yeah. in the middle of
So
the race, it gets
I'd much
tiring.
rather just corral a group of volunteers and just go out there, and
So you don't want to adopt a trail then?
it just doesn't seem to work so much.
That one's off, guys.
Yeah.
Additional map signs, you have all the map signs you need, right? You ordered the 2 that we authorized for donation for the Wade Sullivan at the May meeting? we authorized 2 signs,
No.
correct, Secretary
We
McDonald?
did?
Yeah, 3, I think.
You said you had 9, and you said you wanted 2 more.
It was for the.
Oh, the sale of, not the,
You wanted to buy 2 more for.
not
for
buying,
For
those,
auction. or
selling
something.
those. They want to sell those, not
But you
to
had to
buy
get 2 more,
more.
right? We
They
authorized-
want 2 more, yes. Yeah, we haven't done anything. No, we're not buying anything.
So we're good on signs then?
Yeah,
All right, all right.
for the selling of signs.
Plus, ITC, clearing up Boardman Road, have they started?
They have not. I was up there today. I haven't seen any activity up there. They were hoping the end of June, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll leave that on for an update at August. You've contacted Saradan Construction. You said you had a donation person on that. Have you?
We have not collected any bricks yet because I don't have any Boy Scouts coming on board. And I don't have a lot of good places to store the stuff. Parks and Rec from Oxford said that they would go and collect the things for me and put them somewhere.
Saradan okay with you leaving them there till you
Oh,
need
yeah.
them?
It's just in a big pile in the back of their compound, so they don't care.
All right, so that's off, just informational.
it's just
that
an
you have that
information thing.
Source there. Leonard Yard Corral repairs. You need that on the August agenda
Yes,
for expenditure?
I just haven't done anything with it. I haven't counted, and I've got to get a price on it, and
You want to go with Trex decking though, from what I
some
understand.
sort of
Wanna-
plastic composite, so we don't have to paint it, we don't have to maintain it. Once it's in the ground, it doesn't rot. And Schneider Electric gave us $3,800, so in case we want to do something with it.
Are you looking at the same size of the corral? Are you
Yes.
looking bigger,
No,
lesser?
same size. We're just going to we're going to pull the old posts out, put the new posts in.
Okay. And then the infamous season of e-bikes and golf carts on the Pollyant Trail. Have you seen an uptick in those?
Yes.
So,
The e-bikes I'm not so concerned about. It's the golf carts that are absolutely driving me out of my mind. ATVs aren't even as bad as these golf carts. Everybody has a golf cart. I mean, they're up and down the safety paths, they're up and down the trail, they're up and down everywhere. We had a drunk driver arrested on a golf cart coming off the Pollyant Trail, his third DUI. I don't know. I don't know what the solution
I
is.
don't know if
I thought we only had one permit for Cody. I had no idea.
We actually have 2. We actually have 2.
Two
One
permits.
lovely little lady in Leonard that has MS, and then Cody.
I guess as a former law enforcement officer,
Yeah.
what's the
My-
solution here?
My thing is you have to call the deputies.
Yeah.
And if it's an ordinance violation, if it's a state law, that's a state law violation.
It's
on
actually
there.
a misdemeanor.
Yeah, they should be writing the tickets on it. You write a few tickets and it'll go through like wildfire and people will
Yeah.
stay away. But you have to set them straight at the very beginning of spring.
Yeah.
I do believe Don Rush is going to be doing an article in the local paper here this week in regards to what's allowed and what's not allowed.
You have to call the deputies, and the deputies should be able to catch them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not too many places they can get off,
Right.
you know.
And, we did have one that was arrested for DUI in a golf cart about a month ago.
Here's a couple more that aren't on this list. Last year, Healthy Dogma came to us and requested the dog waste bag post.
Healthy Dogma is in the process of being sold, so I would
They're
just.
back in business.
Yeah, they're in business, but they're in the process of being sold. So I talked to Tom. I would
All right,
not.
so it's a dead issue.
It's done. Yeah.
Have you had contact with Alan Palian about the Franken-Frenzy run?
No, I have not. No,
Make sure
he's-
that's still on?
Yep. He's on my list to call.
Okay. And did you contact Patrick Kniff about the Eric Brackey?
Yes, I
So
did.
he's aware that they can
Yes.
be.
I haven't gotten a response back from him. So we have that $4,000 grant that we no longer need in that particular area.
Yeah.
So
So for council, if you're not unaware, there's a bunch of Phragmites growing by the lookout tower on the Pollyant Trail north of Drainer Road, about a half mile.
Yeah.
And the homeowner came out and actually cut all those back, cut them out. So the monies that Sism was going to spend on that area are no longer needed. So that freed up some money.
I'm
to do
asking
it.
SISMA if we possibly could reallocate that money that's already been allocated to us to a different site. So,
Next thing on the, is on the list, if you have any changes to the contact list, let me know and I'll make those changes on there, so otherwise your list is still good. We'll be seeing probably a request for banners on the Larry Olbrecht Bridge again for the holiday season. coming up.
Yes.
Yep. And my last item that I have on my list, and how's the condition of the old houses and the bad houses?
They're doing great. The one that's by the south side of the cemetery in Oxford Township is getting a little worn, but everybody else is doing really
That's
well.
bending quite a bit. It's a tall
It's
pole.
bending quite a bit, yes. But the owl house itself is getting quite worn. So that may have to come out, but it'll make it this summer. And those are summer habitats anyway, so we can just take them out
All
in the
right.
winter.
No, okay, so that's quite a big list. Is there anything else that council wants to bring to the attention of the chair or anybody else? Okay, if not, public comment, no public is present. Council member comments, Councilor Noel, we'll start with you.
No comment, thank you.
Secretary McDonald.
Happy summer, everybody. Today is the first day.
Yeah, no. Treasurer Pearson.
No, we are not having a meeting in July, correct?
Correct.
Okay, nope, I'm happy.
All right. With that, we'll go to Councilor Watley.
No comment.
No comment. Chair basically has made his comments. We'll send it out to Kevin.
No comment.
No comment. Kristen, if you got anything you want to add? And last word is for Linda.
Well, just happy summer. No, hey, happy summer, everybody. Just everybody have a good summer. Tomorrow, we have the Home Depot. We have 16 people signed up to come out and do a trail day. Pizza will be at Aaron's Place at high noon. Sick pizza will be Scott will personally be delivering it. Salad, pizza. So if anybody's got a couple free hours, we're going to be starting at 9 and going to noon. Come on out.
Is that to eat pizza or work?
The what?
To eat pizza or work?
Yes. If you don't work, you don't get pizza. Yeah, if you don't work, you don't get pizza. So I'm sure that Forrest and everybody will be out on the trail working to get that pizza.
Enjoy the
No, I'm
trail,
just
we're only
teasing you.
6 months from Christmas, you realize that?
Shush, shush.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting at 4:31 PM.
Moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Wiley, second by Treasurer Pearson to adjourn the meeting at 4:31. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye, thank you.
Motion carries, meeting is adjourned.
We have some things that Kristen